Welcome back. Praise the Most High. Uh, Greetings again to the chat and those that we usually greet. We're going to get right into the word. We were studying the preludes to Revelation 13, but then the Most High interrupted us and took us on a little bit of a different tangent, which often happens with us. But let's go back to where we were. So we're doing the prelude, the preparation for Revelation 13, because Revelation 13 is a big chapter. And so we had to first understand last night our role. Who are we in this, right? We know we're the Hebrews and we know we get a person, but who are we in Revelation 12? We're the children of the woman. We're the remnant of the woman. And the woman is given great eagle wings to escape for 3.5 years. And we saw that Elijah came and preached a message to Ahab and said it wasn't going to rain until he gave the word. And for 3.5 years, he was in the wilderness. And the Most High provided for him in the wilderness. At the end of the 3.5 years, we saw the Most High said, go and appear, make yourself known to Ahab. And he did. And he preached a message on Mount Carmel demanding that the people decide, were they going to worship Yah or Baal? And then they just chose Yah. And then Jezebel, the woman, put out a death warrant on Elijah. And Elijah fled. And from the time he fled, after that, he was translated. And I told y'all last night, the Bible said, I'm going to send you Elijah before the great and dreadful day of Yahweh come, which is who we are. And he said, remember the law of Moses. And so Moses and Elijah represent physical two witnesses, but we represent the two witnesses at the end because we're Elijah. And then Moses is the giver and teacher of the law. And we know that the 144,000 are the Levites that are scattered into the 12 tribes. We know that Dan and Ephraim are not counted because Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, kicked out the Levite priests from Dan and Ephraim, and he'll never be forgiven for that, ever. And that's why you do not see Dan and Ephraim with Levite priests in them among the 144,000. Yet all 12 tribes are going to be represented in the kingdom, the original brothers. So Ephraim is really Joseph, and he's going to be represented, and Dan's going to be there. But in terms of the Levite priest that's teaching this last day message, there's none of those two not represented. Okay? Those two not represented. We saw that. And so we saw we're Elijah. We're Elijah. 144,000 is Elijah. We're the witnesses. Okay? Then last night we went and we saw that, and we saw Moses, and we saw the numbers of 3.5 years, 1,260 days, how often that is repeated in the Bible with Israel. We saw 40. We know that the 1,260 days is also 42, the number 42, because it's 42 months. That's 30 times 42, 1,260. And it's interesting also that the Bible tells us in Matthew that, look, in fact, let's look at it. Matthew chapter 1. Matthew chapter 1. See, the Bible is a book of numbers. It's a book of numbers. So look at the Bible here. Matthew chapter 1, from verse 17 down. In fact, let's just look at verse 17. Look at verse 17 of Matthew chapter 1. So all the generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations. From David until the carrying away into Babylon are 14 generations. From the carrying away into Babylon unto Messiah are 14 generations. That's 42 generations. The number 42 again. See, so the Bible is a book of different numbers. So last night we were looking at 3.5 and 40, and the 3.5 also represents 1,260 as well as 42. And so there's your numbers. Okay, and there's more. Like 2 represents a thing established by the Most High, right? We see that. We see 4 powers scattering Judah and Israel. Okay, we have 12 tribes for the children of Israel. 12 gates on the kingdom of the children of Israel, each one for a tribe. 12 apostles of the Messiah who will judge the 12 tribes. Okay? All of that. So you have to understand the numbers in the Bible as it explains it to you. You don't have to make them up. The Bible tells you all of that. Tells you all of that. You don't have to make them up. It's in there, right? So now we're going back to Daniel. So now we're looking at the little horn. And we're looking at the horn that were coming out of the last beast, the dragon-like beast, which is Rome. And the little horn coming out of Rome, we know to be the Vatican. It's a religious power that's worldwide in its scope and is based in Rome. Doesn't use the word Catholic, okay? But it tells you who it is. A religious power that also has political power that is based in Rome and is worldwide. And the dragon gives it power, seat, and authority. There's only one that fits that description. See, that's how the Bible does things. Okay, so Christianity. Is there a religion in the Bible that has a white Jesus from Europe, that have a Jesus from children of Yafet, that changes Yah's laws and replaces the original Israelite? Is that in the Bible? No, it's not. So there's no Christianity in the Bible. You see what I'm saying? Is there a religion where an Arab man goes into a mountain and comes back with a tale of what he has seen? And he can't write, so he has scribes write in a book and call it the Quran and say, this is that in the Bible anywhere? Is that described anywhere? It's described in one place, and it talks about the destroyer, Apollyon. Okay? But is there people in the Bible that have the appearance of ancient Egyptians whose fathers actually lived in Egypt for 100 or 200 years, were put in slave ships in chains and taken to lands that they did not understand the language and are a byword among the nations? Does that exist in the Bible? Yes, it does. And it only fits one group of people. Are people who are going to be, who the Bible says, I'm going to cause the remembrance of them to cease from among men. Is there a group of people like that, that don't know what their real names are, that don't know where they come from, that are scattered into the four corners of the earth? Yes. See, that's how the Bible does things. That's how it shows you. Gives you all kind of hints that it only fits one people on the planet. Only fits one people. Okay? And then it calls them Hebrews. It calls them Hebrews. They're darker, they're brown skin. They came, they fled from Jerusalem multiple times into Egypt and into land. And it says rivers beyond Ethiopia, beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. How many people did that? Okay. Then it talks about a group of people that are descendants of Japhet, that move to areas of the north, that dominate the earth in religion, in business, in politics, that have laid hands on Israelites. What group of people is that? You understand? So that's how the Bible does it. So here it's going to describe for us this little horn. So let's take a look in Daniel chapter 7. Daniel chapter 7. And we stopped at verse 9. We stopped at verse 9. So now we saw the four beasts of Daniel 7, right? We saw the lion, the bear, the leopard, and then the dragon that had on his head 10 horns. On his one head, 10 horns. Okay? Now, I want you to take note as we're beginning this part right here. Watch this. So you have Babylon, the lion, one head, right? One head. You had the Medes and the Persians, a bear that raises up on one side, one head. That's two heads. Then you have the leopard, which we saw was the Greek Empire. 4 heads. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you have the dreadful and terrible dragon. 1 head with 10 horns. So you have a total of, listen, 7 heads and 10 horns. Where have you heard that before? So you have a dragon-like beast that has 7 heads and 10 horns. Did we see that in the book of Revelation? Yes, we saw it a couple of times. We saw it in chapter 12, chapter 13, and chapter 17. So what does that tell you? That the Roman power is a conglomeration of past powers. That's what it is. The educational system that we are now living in, the worldwide educational system of bachelor's degrees and master's degrees and PhDs, the names of that came from Greece. Now, Greece copied the information from Egypt. Well, Mizraim. But we're in the Greek education system, okay, which is under the power of Rome. The law that they follow in the United States is called canon law. Canon law comes from Rome. Canon law. Okay. These Caucasians in the United States was making a big deal talking about we're being taken over by Sharia law. That's the law that people in Islam follow. Islamic countries follow what they call Sharia law because they're scared of losing their power. They're going to lose it anyway. But the law of the United States is canon law. And that comes out of all of your law schools that are run by Catholic Church. Gonzaga, Loyola, okay? Those are Catholic law schools. And many others. St. John's, Syracuse. Those are all Catholic law schools. Boston College, School of Law. Georgetown, School of Law. Canon law. Okay, so you have a situation where your power from the children of Yafet is controlling your religion, because that's where your Ashkenazi Edomites following with Rome, just like Pilate and the Edomite was ruling over Judah from Rome. Same thing. Okay. Then you got the political structure is based from Rome. Same thing. They got y'all thinking liberal and conservative. That's a front. So you're thinking they got there in plain sight showing you, do you see the Supreme Court? It's mostly conservative. And Biden is now putting a liberal there. You know this lady Brown that's going on the Supreme Court. Do you know what religion she is? You want to guess? You know what religion Kajani Brown is? She's a converted Ashkenazi. Her husband is an Ashkenazi. No, she's an Ashkenazi. Her husband's an Ashkenazi, and she converted to Judaism. She's a follower of Judaism. Yeah, that's Kajani Brown. Look it up. Her husband's Ashkenaz. Okay, and she was converted. She converted to his religion. Okay, she is she is what you call that? She is endorsed by the League of something Jews. She is League of Women Jews or something like that. They had to first search far and wide to find that one. So you got on the Supreme Court, they're calling it liberal and conservative, right? They're calling it liberal and conservative. So you got on the Supreme Court 9 judges. Now you have 2 or 3 Ashkenazis and 6 or 7 Roman Catholics. They're telling you it's liberal and conservative. And they're all under the same power. Okay. There you go. See what I'm saying? And they're putting it right in your face, but people can't see it. All they can see is liberal and conservative because that's what the media got everybody believing. Somebody's liberal and somebody's conservative. And Rome controls the whole thing. Just like people think there's 2 parties. Republican and Democrat. There's one party. It's the corporate party. That's it. There ain't two parties. It's one party. But they got people fighting for blue and red. It's a smokescreen. Like I said, they hide it right in front of you. But when you see the Most High's word, it exposes the whole thing. Okay? Exposes the whole thing. Now, she is an Ashkenazi. Her bloodline is Hebrew, but she's not awakened. You see what I'm saying? She is converted to a religion called Judaism that follows Talmud. That's not us. But her bloodline is us. Her bloodline is Hebrew, but she's not awakened. She doesn't know who she really is. Right? Praise the Most High. Okay, Daniel chapter 7. Okay, let's start at verse 8. Daniel chapter 7, verse 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. That's what I wanted to tell you. I got diverted, but the three replacements in the G10 for the three originals are Japan, Canada, and the United States. Those are the three replacements for the originals that was plucked up by the roots. And really now they call it, the title is G10, but they're really 11. And the reason there were 11 is because the original had Holland and Belgium. That was used to be at the time, that was one nation. Holland and Belgium are obviously two different nations now, but that's why they call it 11, but they're really the original 10. So you have 7 that was left, right? And then you got the addition of US, Canada, and Japan. All Japhet. The whole thing is Japhet. There you go. Okay, just like the original. The whole thing is Japhet. Okay, so now that's why it says 3 were plucked up, but now you still have 10 again because the G10 has been formed. All right, the G10 has been formed. Now, let's continue. Talks about a judgment scene. Daniel chapter 7, verse 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. So there were books opened in a judgment. Messiah told us, every idle word that a man shall speak, it shall be make an account thereof in the day of judgment. Bible says every secret thing is going to be judged. And the Bible says there's a book of remembrance and there's judgment. So everybody has a book. All of us have a book on our lives. And in those books is everything we've ever thought and done. And every action and every motive behind every action is in those books. And during judgment, those books are opened. And if you remember, the Bible says in the book of Revelation, which we're going to get to in chapter 20, whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. So the book of life contains, which is the 7 seal book, it contains the names of all the redeemed. Father knows the names before you even existed and I existed. He knows the names. He gave the book, which represents the kingdom, to Messiah, which we're going to read here. Okay? The books were opened. Verse 11. I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. I beheld even to the beast was slain and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. That's the end result of the beast. As concerning the rest of the beast, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. Now, that's an interesting statement. Babylon, Media, Persia, and Greece, they said they had their dominion taken away, but their lives were prolonged for a season. Why? Because they're all in Rome. Ancient Babylon, ancient Media Persia, and ancient Greece reside. All parts of all of them are in the final piece of Rome. Okay? All of them. All right, that's why I said their lives are prolonged for a season in time. So until this beast, this last one, is destroyed, the lives of the ancient kingdoms are still alive in them, though those ancient kingdoms don't exist anymore. Let's continue. Verse 13. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all the people, nations, and languages, that is, of the earth, should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. That's the second time we've seen a reference in Daniel to that kingdom that's going to last forever. The first one was the stone cut without hands. The second one here is the Son of Man, the Son of the Ancient of Days, the Father. And he said was given him a kingdom that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. Okay? Same Messiah. Same thing as we saw in Revelation chapter 4 and 5. And he received the book from the Father. That's the kingdom. The book represents the people that will make up the kingdom. All of the people that will make up the kingdom. Okay, there you go. Verse 15. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit and in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of the thing. These great beasts, which are four kings which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet, and of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, and a look whose look was more stout than his fellows. I beheld, and the same horn, watch this, made war with the saints and prevailed against them. So the little horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. The saints are who, brethren? Who are this? And don't just say we. What does that mean? Who are the saints? Name them. What is their name? What is the name of the saints? What is the name of the saints? He made war with the saints. Israel, that's right. So he makes war with the true Israelites, the true Hebrew Israelites. He makes war and he prevails. Can we say that that has happened? Can we say he has made war with us? We talked about the corruption of this system. That is his system. We talked about how it set us up to fail and then blames us for the failure. We talked about how we have put chains on our neck and then they've added to those chains debt, right? This system is created to destroy us. Not even talking about crack cocaine and heroin. We're not even talking about opioids. We're not even dealing with dumping guns in our neighborhoods. We're not even dealing with guns made by Smith & Wesson that we can't buy, but we got plenty of them. We're not even dealing with not owning ships and planes, but having those drugs come from overseas into our neighborhood. We're not even dealing with that. Or redlining. We're not even dealing with that. The system is destroying us. It's built so that we will never prosper in it. And it prevailed against us. Not forever, though. Notice again, Daniel chapter 7. Let's read verse 21 and let's read it with verse 22. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possess the kingdom. So it's not forever. And the time is here that the saints should possess the kingdom. Okay? Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms and shall devour the whole earth. So you see again, this little horn comes out of Rome and has worldwide authority. Not just in Rome. It's not just among Catholics in one area. It's worldwide authority. Worldwide authority on a religious level, on a political level, and on an economic level. Worldwide authority. The main central bank on the earth is the Vatican Central Bank. Look that up. It's public information. The Vatican Central Bank. Nobody knows how much money they have. Nobody knows how much gold they have, although everybody knows they do have gold in vaults there. And they have Swiss guards that guard the Vatican. Why Swiss guards? They keep money in the only neutral nation in the planet, Switzerland. There you go. Gold and central. Why is central bank important? All wire transfers of any money going anywhere in Europe has to pass through the Vatican Central Bank. And there's fees for that. And the Vatican has never opened its books to audit. Nobody knows what they own, how much money they have. They're always claiming poverty, but nobody knows. They have never had an. There's two entities on planet Earth that has never had an audit of any kind: the Vatican and the Federal Reserve of the United States. Never an audit. Nobody ever knows how much money they have, how much money they make. Nobody knows. Okay? And there's those two entities, guess what? They tied together. There you go. Okay? Daniel chapter 7, verse 24. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first. There's that word diverse again. He's different. Why? Because he's a religious focus, not a political focus. It's the religious focus. He has politics, but it's the religious focus. And he shall subdue 3 kings, verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time, 3.5 years, until that 3.5 year period. Now, brothers and sisters, look, wear out the saints of the Most High. Well, we've talked about the prison system, the for-profit prison system, the drug system, the debt system, wearing out the saints, right, of the Most High. But even the religious, when you deal on the religious side, you walking into churches. My grandmother walked into churches with pictures of white Jesus everywhere. We come from Jamaica. And we walk into churches with a white Jesus and a lamb in his hand. And we seeing pictures in our Sabbath school and Sunday quarterlies of a white Jesus. That wear out the saints. Because now you think all them Caucasian people superior when you see that enough. And so you got the debt, you got the politics, you got the education system, and you got the religious system built to make you crazy. Built to make you crazy, to brainwash you, to make you down on yourselves, inferior. It's all good, though. The Bible shows us the truth. Okay? Verse 26. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume it and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and the greatness And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. Why would it bother him when you see all of those centuries and millennium that this power was going to rule and scatter Israel and Judah and wear us out? That would bother anybody. Even though at the end he said we're going to get the kingdom, it's going to be a long, hard road in between. And that's what we've been dealing with, brethren. So now you know Rome and the little horn is represented in that seven-headed, 10-horned beast. Let's go now to Revelation chapter 17, because we're going to see some more. It's going to give us an overview of that situation, how it develops, and how it's destroyed. Okay? Then we're going to go to Revelation 13, where you see it put together now. Okay? So Revelation 17, let's begin at verse 1. Revelation 17, beginning at verse 1. I'm going to read Revelation 17 from 1 to 3 to start us off. We're going to read the whole chapter, but from 1 to 3 to start us off, Revelation chapter 17. Building on what we found out in Daniel. And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither. I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. So now, before you never saw a woman. In the other places where this beast is described, you do not see a woman. Why? A woman represents a religious power. Okay? I have likened the daughter of Zion unto a comely and delicate woman. He said, the virgin daughter of Zion have laughed thee to scorn. So a religious power, a nation of religious power, is represented by a woman. So whereas Zion has the sun and the moon, she clothed with the sun and the moon in 12-star crown. This one is a whore. And she's riding a beast. When something is being ridden, it's tamed, it's under control. You see what I'm saying? When a horse is being ridden, it could be ridden because it's been tamed. It's been put under control. Otherwise, it will kick you and throw you off, right? But when you can ride it, you got it under control. You tell it when to stop. You tell it when to go. You tell it to go right, left, straight, forward. But you're controlling the horse when you are riding it. This woman is riding a beast. She's a religious power riding a beast. The beast has 7 heads and 10 horns. The same scarlet beast that we saw in Daniel 7. The same beast that we saw in Revelation 12. She's riding it. And the key thing about it that you must notice here is he was taken into the wilderness. And when you look up wilderness, it's a desolate location. Nobody there. Why is that important? Because the woman is controlling this beast with nobody knowing she's doing it. It's secret. Which is why I can tell you that Rome is behind everything, but nobody will know because Rome acts like it's innocent. You see this man ride around with white on, and he's done this sign to everybody, right? And he's got a little private jet, and he comes everywhere, and he got 1 billion+ followers. Nobody knows he's running the United States. And his partner, who's dressed in black. There's a black pope. This ain't no conspiracy theory. Just look up black pope. The black pope is the head of the Jesuit order, who has been used since the Council of Trent in the 16th century as a counter-reformation to bring all churches, all businesses, all countries under its subjection. And those two run the earth for the dragon. And nobody knows it because it's in secret. So all you see is the beast. You can see that we're in a one world government. You can see that. You know, that's why you got NATO. Why do you think they're allowing the Ukraine to get smacked by Russia right now? Ukraine is not part of NATO. Once you get part of NATO, it's like you done joined the mob. You pay the VIC. And you know the VIC is US. You pay the VIC. Otherwise, you don't get no protection. You understand? Otherwise, you don't get no protection. So you're going to see them pressure Ukraine to join NATO, among other things that's going on. But the pressure's on to join NATO. Otherwise, that's why you ain't see the United States or nobody coming there to help yet with serious business, serious power, because they're not part of NATO yet. They were trying to hold out. That ain't happening. Okay, so that's why you can see the beast. You can see the world economic system that we're now in. You can see the world political system that we're now in. But you don't know, but it's showing you that we're in a world religious system already. You got religions that's acceptable and religions that's not acceptable. So they created, and I mean out of thin air, they created what, have you ever heard this term? Here we go. Radical Islam. That's not no real branch of Islam. A Muslim will tell you that. There's no branch of Islam called radical Islam. You got Sunni Muslims, you got Kurdish Muslims, you got different types of Muslims now. But radical Islam was created by the United States. There's no such thing as radical Islam and Muslim Islam. There's Nation of Islam. Malcolm X become a Sunni Muslim. So did Muhammad Ali. There's Kurdish Islam that's in Iraq. Okay, you got different sects. You got Shiite Islam. They used to have this. They used to have this ambassador named Nabi Berry, and he was a Shiite. And so every time I heard his name, I thought of a band. So you can call him Nabi Berry and the Shiites, right? So you got Shiite. You got Shiite Muslims, you got Sunni Muslims, you got Kurdish Muslims. Ain't no such thing as radical Islam Muslims. But they created that to create a boogeyman, right? They had to create a boogeyman, right? And so make an enemy so they have an excuse to go into the Middle East and destroy everything and take over. So that's what they did, okay? And so you have that now. You know, what's the, you got one called, what's the one radical Islam, Huku Baram, that's in Africa, right? You got what happened in Aleppo, Syria. What is it called? I forgot. There's different radical Islamic groups now. You have them now. They really created them now. Okay. Taliban. There's another one. Taliban, right? So they created these boogeymen in the religious sects, but they control all of it. It's already telling you they control all of it. Okay, and it's easy to brainwash them. All you gotta do is put it this way: if you were to ask a person that lives in the state of Israel, is this your country? Like, they're gonna say, yes, this is our country, because by now, from 1948 to 2022, they have been there now for 74 years. So you have people that have lived, born, and died in that place. So now to them, it's a legitimate country. And they cannot understand why other nations don't recognize it as a legitimate country. Because to them, they've been there 74 years. Of course it's legitimate, right? To them, because they've been there a long time. Well, you got Muslims from the 7th century, which of course is 700 years after the Messiah, but it's 7th century, right? So you got the 7th century where Muhammad received his dream, and now from the 7th century to now, you got 1,500 years, right? Or 1,300, something like that. 1,300 years. So 1,300 years, that's all a lot of people know is Islam. They don't know nothing about anything but the Quran and Islam. They don't know the Bible. They've never been given it. They've been born, raised, live, and die with the Quran. 13 centuries. Okay? 13, 14 centuries. So that's why you have people now into these things. And the Most High knows that. He's wise. He doesn't just, cash people away like that. He understands that. Yeah. You got people that are in Buddhism and Hinduism for over 1,000 years. Those religions are 1,000 years old. Okay. Over 1,000 years. That's all they know. Just like us, we brought over here in slave ships and we've been taught Christianity for 400 years. And so you got people still eating chitlins, right? That was given to us from slave masters, and don't understand that this was given to you from slave masters. That's what you didn't originally eat. That. That's not your food. That's the heathen's food. That's not your food. But now they don't see any difference now. Our fathers were in Egypt for about 2 or 3 generations, and they started thinking they were Egyptians. And the Egyptians were letting them know, no, you're not Egyptians now. You work for us. And then Moses came knowing who he was and let them know the God of your fathers. You understand? So it just takes time. Generations go by and people get assimilated into these cultures and religions. And that's why the awakening is so great. Because we're being awakened out of all of that. We're being awakened out of all of that by the Father's Spirit and by his word. Okay? Otherwise, we'd be just like that. We all were. That's why the Bible says, Satan deceiveth the whole world. Okay? Because that's what happens. But the power of righteousness and truth supersedes that, which is why we're awakening. That's why we are. Okay? Now, so this woman is in secret. And she's riding this beast that has world power. And she's controlling it. Okay. And so that's why you do not see her in Revelation 17, but you'll see something else. Okay. Watch this now. So, you don't see in Revelation 13, but let's read the rest of 17. Verse 4. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahushua. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. Verse 8. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell upon the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. Now, we'll go into that in more detail when we actually study 17. I'm just going to show you the difference in this dragon, 7-head, 10-horn beast here and in chapter 13, which we're going back to get into. We're preluding 13. We're going to come to 17 and we'll go into those things in more detail, okay? And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth, and there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. And the 10 horns which thou sawest, now this is the key here. Watch verse 12 for Revelation 13. And watch the horns. Ready? And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. Now you remember, again, let's go back to Daniel 2, understanding that they were clay and iron. They were not completely brought together because clay and iron can't stick. So the powers of Satan are trying to conglomerate solidly on the planet. And in that conglomeration, what they want to do is kill all opposition. Just like that little horn plucked up 3 of the first horns because they were opposition to him. and he reestablishes it here with the woman riding the beast. They want to kill all opposition to them, especially if it's on a religious level. Why again do you think they would have killed a Malcolm X or a Fred Hampton or a Martin Luther King? These people were murdered because they represented too strong of an opposition, and from the wrong people as far as the leaders are concerned of this world, from the wrong people. Okay? So they had to be taken out. Well, the system is being set up to bring into subjection all the earth. And that's what's going on. That's why when you come to the United States, everybody's trying to be an American, right? People will change their names to try to be American, and they'll change it to more Americanized names. But the difference between most of the people that come here to be American and the Hebrews is all of the people that, except for the Hebrews, have a place they come from. They have a place where they know their family history. They have a place where they have a background, a name, whether it's Germany or Poland or Ireland or England or France or Italy or Russia or whatever country, Georgia, Czechoslovakia, former Yugoslavia. They have countries they come from, and they know who they come from and where they come from and what the names of their original names of their people are. They know that. The only people here that don't know that are the Hebrews. We don't know what our names were. We don't know our family history. We don't know what tongue we actually spoke. We don't know what our names were before we got on those slave ships, what language we spoke. We don't know what we owned, what we didn't own. We don't know nothing. We've been given names, and we've been given a story by the people that gave us the names. We've been given a story. You all are servants of white Jesus, and he looks like us. And here's what this Bible says about y'all. Y'all supposed to be slaves, and we're supposed to rule over you, and we're superior to you. And it's going to be like that forever. And without us, you could not survive. That's what we've been told. You can't work without us. You don't get paid without us. Unless we educate you, you're going to be stupid and ignorant. You don't know your name. You don't know where you come from. My family owned you. Your name is Jones because that was my family name. We owned y'all. We brought y'all from the jungles with bones in your nose. That's what they're going to tell you. Okay? And so we've been born like that and raised like that, which, as it turns out, shows us who we really are. We are the true Hebrews. We stick out like a sore thumb. We're the true Hebrews. Everybody else, the Mexican can tell you where they come from. Guatemalans, Brazilians. Here we are in this country, we can't tell you nothing. Okay? That's the truth about it. We could only tell you the history of our slave masters. That's how we got a name. Okay? We can't tell you what language we spoke before we learned their king's English. And truth be told, some of these Mexicans and these people, they're Hebrews too. They didn't always speak no Spanish. My wife and I saw in Mexico, they got people that are speaking the original tongue they came there with. Nobody understands it. The Aztecs, the Mayans, they're still there. They were there before the Spaniards got there. And they're dark. They're red. Northern tribes. And they have some of them, they refuse to learn Spanish. They speak their own language. They were there before the Spaniards got there. But they were enslaved and converted to Catholicism. So they say, okay, you can speak whatever language you want. Just make sure you're behind, show up to Mass. And listen to that Latin every Sunday. And then they build statues of them in front of their churches. Okay? But see, that's the Bible's telling us what the situation is. So you have 10 horns. The Bible says they received no kingdom as yet, but received power as kings for 1 hour. So at the end, When the mark of the beast is given and it's in full effect, the goal there is to conglomerate, consolidate power so that all the nations, the languages, and the people are under one power, under one system, and are not opposing that system. That's why Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon in Daniel chapter 3 is likened unto the mark of the beast, because you can see Nebuchadnezzar had all peoples, nations, and languages come to Babylon and speak his language and worship his God, except for the 3 Hebrews. The remnant refused, and they were delivered by Messiah. The same thing happened now. It's going to be on a worldwide scale. Same thing. Okay, that's why I meant in the book of Revelation 13, we're going to see the references to the image of the beast. The image of the beast. Because the goal with Asatan is consolidate his power and have no opposition. No opposition. He's going to crush all opposition. And at this point, it doesn't matter if the oppositions are children of Yafet, Ham, or Shem. He don't care. Right now, we're at the end. That's why you're starting to see everybody. You're starting to see everybody suffer under this system of debt, opioids. You're seeing it happen to everybody now. You know, you're not just seeing one group of people on the street. You're seeing all kinds of people on the street. Because it don't matter now. Now we're in the home stretch. If you're not down with the program, you're getting crapped out. Okay, that's how they work in this thing. Now, that's verse 12. They received no kingdom as yet. So one more thing about that. So when a king becomes actually a king, right? Let's think of, England, right? So if one of Charles's sons was to become a king, once his daddy and his grandmama died, right? And that one of Diana's sons would become the king. I forgot their name. What Harry or William and Harry. So one of them, probably not the one married to the sister, who don't know she's a sister. But anyway, I forgot which one. But one of them turns from prince to king. He gonna get something that signifies he's a king. There's going to be a service at Buckingham Palace. There's going to be a service at Buckingham Palace, and they're going to make him king. What is he going to receive that will show the whole world he is a king? Right. He's going to get a crown. Right. So the crown shows you that he is now a king. When that happens, when the old biddy, what's her name? Princess, what? Queen Elizabeth dies. When she dies, somebody is going to be a king. And which one? Okay, William. I think it's William. William's going to be the king. He's going to get a crown. It's going to be a coronation. He's going to get a crown. So he don't have a crown now, right? He don't have a crown now because he y'all crazy. He don't have a crown now, but he gonna get the crown. And when he does, he's the king. So the Bible said here that the 10 horns represent 10 kings who have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power for 1 hour with the beast. Now, you see they don't have no crowns here, but let's look at Revelation chapter 13 again. Let's look at Revelation chapter 13 in verse 1 and 2 and watch the crowns. Watch the crowns now. Revelation 13, 1 and 2. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads. We know where that comes from. And 10 horns. We know where that comes from. And upon his horns, 10 crowns. And upon his heads, the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. So now you understand. Revelation 13 is showing you the buildup to Revelation 17, is showing you the build up to what comes in Revelation 13. And as we know, in Bible prophecy, it's not always chronological in order. We saw that with Daniel, with Belshazzar. We saw that in a couple of places. We saw that in Ezekiel. Chapter 39 actually comes before chapter 38. And so you can see it's not always, crossed away. The people that actually put these scrolls in the Bible didn't always put them in the order, but because we are the chosen servants, the Most High shows us the order. So chapter 17, where they did not have crowns, comes before chapter 13. So what you're seeing, and remember what they said about it. They said, these receive power as kings for 1 hour with the beast. So now you're seeing that they have the crowns. In chapter 13, they have the crowns. So this period of time represents the last few moments of this world's kingdom. They have the crowns. So they're going to show you the rest of chapter 13, the history of how they got the crown, the rest of it. Okay. And a lot of it is recent history, right? And because here, the mark of the beast is coming real quick, right? It's going to be here real fast. So we're going to talk about that the next time we get together. But I went through all of today just to get us prepared. It's a prelude to chapter 13. So that now when you see that beast in Revelation 13, you understand its origins. Daniel showed you that. You understand now it's in full power. Revelation 17 showed you that. You understand that you can't see the woman anymore, but she's in secret riding it. Okay? That's important to understand as we go forward here in chapter 13. So chapter 13 shows you the finished product of the devil's masterpiece of a deception. The abomination that maketh desolate in its finished product. And the rest of the chapter shows you how it got there and how it's going to be destroyed. And then Revelation 14 shows you the finished product of the Lamb's bride. The 144,000. And it shows you the rest of that chapter, the events leading up to them standing on Mount Zion with the Lamb. Then Revelation 15 shows you the sea of glass and the deliverance. Okay. And we'll go from there when we get there. But now you see this beast, there's a woman riding it. You just can't see it. You see the finished product with crowns on the horns. Okay. You see it started back in the day with Babylon, the final Babylonian iteration under Nebuchadnezzar, and that it went through Babylon, Media, Persia, Greece, and then finally Rome. And we see that this is Rome controlling the earth with this little horn represented in this whore riding it. See, you put all that together to get to here. And that's important, as you can see, because now it will seem very easy for you to see what happens as we go through Revelation 13. Now, as homework, before we come back on next Friday and study this some more, I want to give you some homework. Very easy homework. Read Daniel 11. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Read Daniel 3. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said 11. 11 would be complicated for y'all right now. It's not, but we'll show you. But read Daniel chapter 3, because Daniel chapter 3 shows you the mark of the beast and the worship of the image. It's an object lesson. It's an object lesson for Revelation 13. That's what it is. But the issue is the same. So carefully read, prayerfully read Daniel chapter 3, and you'll see the issue at stake in the mark of the beast, and you'll see the deliverance, and you'll see the image that's an object lesson. Right now, we're not dealing with an actual image. It's an object lesson, though, which means it's like a symbol. Okay? Okay, praise the Most High. But please read, that's your homework. Read Daniel chapter 3. Read it prayerfully and compare it to Revelation 13, especially the last half of Revelation 13. And we're going to go through that by the grace of the Most High next Friday as we study this in more detail. This is a very important piece for us. It's because where we are right now, and we're about to move into this thing deeper, both in the Bible and in life, real life. Okay, but yes. Do those things. Read Daniel 3, compare it to Revelation 13, prayerfully read those things, and let the Most High Spirit guide you. Okay? Thank you all for being here for the Bible study, being at this Bible study. I pray the Most High will bless you as you continue to study his word and guide your steps and direct your path, that you will be prepared to stand at the end and give a final warning message from the power of Father Yah's Spirit. May he bless you and keep you, and cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you, and lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom.